In this video, we're going to talk about one of the best things that you can do for your health. It's not only something that's transformed my health, but thousands and thousands of other people too. So I'm super excited to share with it for you today. What's going on, everybody? My name is Egan, and I love to share health and wellness tips for the everyday person, especially those of you with autoimmune conditions. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most exciting things that I really love to talk about, and I'm so thankful that I learned about a few years back, and it's something that you're going to see more and more talk about. And we're going to talk about gut health. When we talk about gut health, we're going to probably go back thousands and thousands of years back to Hippocrates. So Hippocrates actually theoried that all disease begins in the gut. He was actually onto something thousands of years ago that maybe we could take a page out of his playbook today. Hippocrates would have been right about lots of diseases begin in the gut, but not necessarily all diseases, but he was onto something, and it's something I think we're going to be talking about a lot more in the future. So let's talk about what gut health is. So when we talk about gut health, we're typically referring to our large intestine as where a majority of it stems from. We actually have about 40 trillion bacteria cells that are living within us and on us. And we're only about 30 trillion human cells, so you could actually say we're more bacteria than we are human. We have bacteria, we have fungus, we have yeast, and we have viruses, and we also have parasites that are living on us. There's also what's called the microbiome. So the microbiome is what is the balance of all these living things that are within us as well as on our skin as well. So the microbiome is this balance of microbes of bacteria, fungus, viruses, etc. that live within us and on us. So, and what we want to have is actually more good bacteria than bad bacteria. So when we talk about the large intestine, it helps with digestion, it helps nutrient absorption, it also gets rid of waste products, but it's also kind of the foundation for our immune system. So 70 to 80% of our immune system is found within our gut. So when we think about our gut, just think of it as basically the epicenter for all of our immune system, since that's where a majority of our immune health lives. Also, something that produces in our gut is going to be serotonin. So serotonin is what's called our happy hormone, and 90% of that serotonin lives within our gut. Also, there's something called melatonin. Maybe you've heard about it or taken it to help you with your sleep. So 90% of your melatonin is found in your gut. So our large intestine is the largest organ found within our endocrine system and is responsible for several things: thyroid, insulin levels, inflammation, metabolic disorder, mood problems as well. So we actually have about 3 to 5 pounds of bacteria found within our gut. That's roughly the weight of a human brain. So, and there's actually a direct connection between our brain as well as our gut, and it's called the gut-brain connection or the gut-brain axis. And there's lots of things that are correlating to our gut. Diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, they're finding studies that those can actually be related to gut health. So we talked about the balance of the microbiome. We want to have more good bacteria than bad. There's something that's happened, and it's very common within the United States as well as any other Western cultures. It's called dysbiosis, which is a disbalance in between those bacteria. Dysbiosis can lead to a whole host of things and actually lead to obesity. So there's actually a good bacteria in our gut that's called Akkermansia. It's kind of like the skinny gene, if you will, is it helps to burn fat. And those tested with rats, those who had an increase in Akkermansia were actually at a healthier weight. Those with less Akkermansia were at an unhealthy weight. Even when they gave rats the exact same diet, whether it was a poor diet or a good diet, they gave rats the same amount. Ones who had the Akkermansia stayed thin. The ones that did not have as much Akkermansia stayed obese. Dysbiosis can actually cause what's called leaky gut. So within our intestinal wall, we have basically little gaps, and what happens is those bad things and bacteria can actually eat away and put little tiny holes for it to leak into our bloodstream. And it can cause a whole host of different autoimmune conditions: obesity, diabetes, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autism, allergies like peanut allergies, food allergies, psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis, Crohn's, lupus, IBS, rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, ulcerative colitis, interstitial cystitis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. These are just some of what's been tied back to leaky gut and dysbiosis. And the studies are finding that these are the start for so many autoimmune conditions and disease processes, since a majority of our immune system is found within our gut. So let's talk about some things that affect or hurt our gut health. So the top thing for me, as well as so many other people, is stress. Is something that affects our overall body and gut health. When we have lots of stress, it raises our blood pressure, it raises our heart rate, it also releases what's called cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So all that creates kind of a toxic environment, and our body's trying to fight that stress instead of being able to use it to boost our immune system. Stress actually inhibits our immune system, so it actually suppresses it. So stress is something that's really harmful for our overall immune health. So sleep is something that definitely affects our immune health. So we need restorative sleep every night to be able to repair our body. Recommended is about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And what happens at night is when we sleep is that's when our body repairs everything. So just 2 days of missed or interrupted sleep actually suppresses our immune system. There's also studies about people who do shift work, like myself as a firefighter, or people who work in the hospital, that their sleep is very disrupted, and it actually can be very damaging to their overall health. So getting that restorative sleep is very important. So sugar and processed foods, artificial sweeteners are some really bad things for our immune system. Actually, consuming sugar can actually suppress your immune system for up to about 6 hours after taking it. So if you're constantly taking in some sugar or simple carbohydrates, constantly suppresses your immune system. Also, sugar does is it actually can feed the bad bacteria. So we have yeast in our gut, which is candida. Our candida actually loves sugar. So the more sugar and simple carbohydrates, breads, flours, actually can feed that yeast and can cause that bad bacteria to overgrow in our gut and lead to that dysbiosis as well as that leaky gut. Antibiotics have saved lots and lots of lives. However, even the CDC admits that over 30% of antibiotics prescribed were completely unnecessary. Antibiotics are actually a very bad thing when they're overprescribed. And it takes over a year to almost 2 years to go through one round of antibiotics throughout your gut. What it does is it goes into your system and it kills lots and lots of bacteria. Hopefully the bad, but it's also going to be killing off the good bacteria. Oops! And it wipes out the good and the bad bacteria. What can happen is that bad bacteria is actually more resilient than the good bacteria. What? So that bad bacteria a lot of times is still standing, and then the good bacteria is wiped out, and that dysbiosis starts to happen. So we have the bad bacteria that's resilient overtaking the good. And the more antibiotics that we consume, the more that bad bacteria level can alter our gut microbiome. So just think of how many antibiotics that you've had within the last 1 or 2 years. And if you haven't been replacing those with good probiotics or good diet, you may have that overgrowth of bad bacteria in your gut. So diet can impact our gut health in a negative or a positive way. So when we talked about developing dysbiosis, we talked about having just a very narrow gut bacteria. We want to have a very wide range, and a lot of Western diet, processed foods, fast food, there's a very narrow gut bacteria and not very much either, with a lot of oil, fried foods, simple carbohydrates. We get that good bacteria from actually plant-based foods. And so if we're not consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables and that fresh stuff, we're not getting that food that helps feed that good bacteria. So dairy, ice cream, milk actually be an inflammatory thing. It's loaded with lots of sugar, help feed that yeast and that yeast overgrowth. So there's some medications that are actually pretty harmful for our gut, being NSAIDs, Advil and Motrin, oral contraceptives, the pill, steroids, corticosteroids like prednisone and hydrocortisone. I even used to use it for my skin as well. Acid reducing drugs for GERD, acid reflux, can actually be very hard on our gut. It's up to you and your doctor to decide on those medications. I don't recommend anybody taking off of anything, but it's something that you should be aware of and look into and talk to your doctor about. What can we do to help support our gut health? Well, one of the easiest ways we can do that is by giving our good bacteria what it needs. and that is a good diet. So nobody is perfect when it comes to their diet, but we could all probably do a little bit better when it comes to eating the right foods. So foods that are rich in fiber. Fiber is what feeds our good bacteria. So things like vegetables, asparagus, broccoli, any kind of green leafy vegetables is really good overall for us. Any kind of fresh fruits. So I think the biggest picture is to reduce any kind of processed foods and eat more kind of whole foods, especially those plant-based foods. So I am not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not saying that you should go that route, but it's just a good thing to keep in the back of your mind about our overall gut health and why are we eating? We're eating to support our body and give it what it needs. So we all have the occasional treat, but I think the big idea is to kind of feed and fuel our body for what it needs. So proper supplementation can go hand in hand with diet. So we're lacking things in our diet, or even if you're farming your own food, you're still missing things, so we don't have the nutrient dense profile in foods like we used to have. Good things to supplement is a good multivitamin. There's probiotics out there that I highly encourage people to understand more, and I make more videos about supplementation. There's lots of good things to get in every day too. So just overall good plant-based supplementation is key for overall health to be able to fill those nutritional gaps. So exercising is so important for our overall immune health. It's proven fact that it's good for our mental health, and if our mental health is in check, we can also affect our physical health. So getting outside, getting exercise in every day, 20 to 30 minutes, getting your heart rate elevated reduces stress, so it reduces that cortisol, reduces your blood pressure, and also boosts your immune system. So hydration, water is so key to our health. So the majority of our body is made up of water, and so we need to be consuming water daily just to support our normal functions. So to be able to absorb nutrients, digestion, as well as get rid of the bad stuff that's in our body, we need water. So roughly half our body weight in ounces daily is a good goal to shoot for. If we're drinking things like coffee, tea, those things are actually dehydrating and can count against your water intake for the day. So if you're going to be having those caffeinated drinks, it's good to understand that those actually will count against your water intake. So if it's hotter or drier, you're exercising, you're going to need more water. Stay hydrated, super important for our immune health, our gut health, and just overall health in general. So probably one of the #1 things to help our overall health is reducing stress. So yes, it sounds easier said than done, but it's something to be cognizant of because it affects so much, not only our mental health, but like we learned, there's a direct correlation of your mental health, your brain, and your gut. So they're actually interrelated and connected. So stress is something that's actually caused my autoimmune condition. I know it's cause for so many other people with their autoimmune conditions as well as other disease processes. Stress is so prevalent in today's society, and we need to understand and recognize it, seek the help when we need, and be able to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So some of the best ways to deal with stress in a healthy way, making sure we're exercising, getting out in the sunshine, getting outside every day, is important for our overall stress as well as mindset. So there's things on YouTube, podcasts, there's Pandora, there's lots of things to hear positive things. It helps to kind of release that stress and that mental stress. So that's one thing that I found that kind of helped me. And so obviously if there's stressful events that happen in our lives, I strongly advise people to seek actual professional help if they need help dealing with the stress. It's affecting your day-to-day life, it is just constantly building, you need to seek some professional help, and I did that. So I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I went through therapy, and I actually did EMDR, and that was actually something that was super helpful for me, for my condition, as well as it actually helped my physical condition as well, because that stress was weighing on me, and it affected my physical health. Stress is something that's impacting your daily life. Get that taken care of to be able to deal with those things. Just like when your weight gets out of control, immune health, or anything else, we need kind of to seek that outside help to be able to get you back to balance, to be able to where you can manage things yourself. So gut health is the foundation for our overall health, and our immune system is responsible for so many things that maybe we even take for granted. So I hope these tips were helpful for you today and take steps to being a happier and healthier you.